recently planted my eggplant. You can see here, this one probably isn't gonna make it. I do have a spare though, but it's a different kind than I wanted to plant in this spot. But anyway, these eggplants struggled when the bright direct sun came out. Now they've been already been climatized to sun and hardened off, but for some reason when I planted them, they all struggled and they would flat wilt. The leaves would be down against the mix here, and all of them are doing now better because today's a cloudy, rainy day, lightly rainy day, perfect for what I need here. But one thing I want to do is create little shade I don't know what you call them, individual shade structures that will block the high heat of the sun. So essentially what it'll do is it'll reduce direct sun longer than like the fence over there that sets really low. That's the only time they get relief, from as soon as the sun pops up until that time. And even though it's the middle of April, they do need some sun until the roots go down well and they're very acclimated to the situation. So I've got, if you look here, I've got cattle panels that I'm using as trellises here. And I bought 16-foot cattle panels, but to get the 8-foot lengths here, I had to cut out a part. It's a part about as wide as this. Actually, it's probably just a little bit less between these two, and that was extra, and I knew that I might use it someday. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take and fabricate some of them little sunblocks structures, and I think it'll be a good thing. It'll help protect not only the eggplant here. The peppers seem to be doing good. This one on the very end is lacking a little bit, but if we go over here, you can see these Matapino pepper plants. They were planted at the same time as this one. That's how big they should be. But these Matapinos, like this one, looks like it's going to die. They have white leaves, and white leaves don't photosynthesize the sun, so the plants can't grow. But I know some people that are, I don't know them, but I've seen some people online in videos where if you block some of the sun out, where they have less sun, they can grow slowly but more healthy. And so eventually what I'd like to do is cross them. I want to get some variegation, but I want to get a productive variegation, maybe a light green instead of a white, light green and dark green variegation, so that it can grow productively. Right now it's just kind of a novelty, but I want to make it useful. So I can use those sunblocks for these three as well as any others. I've got some plants I'm going to be putting out, so pretty soon, cucurbits in these raised beds, so it'll come in handy is what I'm saying. These are those pieces I was talking about that were left over after putting the trellises in the raised beds, and I've got the bolt cutters I bought. I think they were like $10 or $15 off of Amazon, and I bought them just for the purpose of cutting the 16-foot cattle panels to 8-foot for the raised beds. And so I had those, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and I'm going to, you can see here it's got this large area here. I'm going to take and cut it off here, and this part right here will stick in the ground, and this part here will offer the shade portion. So I'm going to take bolt cutters and cut here and here and here and so on until I get use out of all those spare these spare leftovers and make something functional out of it. After cutting, I end up having 16 of these, and this is what the structure of it's going to look like. This will go in the garden bed, and this will have landscape fabric over it that I'll use as a sunblock. And these are the leftover pieces. I've got 3 here. I may be able to use this in some kind of way. I'm not sure yet on those. And then 2 little pieces left. So I've basically used every bit of the trellis or cattle panel for something garden related. I got some I guess you'd call it landscape fabric. This is a poor quality that I've had for years, and I try to find ways to use things, and so I think this will be perfect for that. Scissors to cut it, and some little bitty zip ties, 6-inch. Whoop. Shot one up. That's what they look like. They're tiny. And I'll cut a piece out to fix for one of these. And it'll fit across here, and I'll zip tie it to it and leave this area completely bare so I can stick it into the soil. So let me do that and show you what I end up with. So here's a part cut out, and here are my thoughts on how to do it. Move this down to here like this, and fold this over, and then take and zip tie it together to this bottom here, make sure that this is tied up top. And so yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. This way, fold it over. I use less zip ties to secure it to the top and bottom. I wanted to show you one of these now in practice. I've got it here, and you can see the sun's directly this way, and as the sun goes from east to west, this, because of the angle, it'll turn slightly the shadow, and it'll protect this for the majority of the day. Now in the morning it'll get some sun, but I want to protect it till it gets hardy and a little bigger. And so that's the value of these. I'll show you a couple more. These are those matapinos. I don't even think that one's going to make it no matter what. But you can see the shade is blocked. Now the ambient light through the shade, you know, coming in from over this way, is still quite a bit of sun. But I'm hoping to keep one of those alive. So that's it for the little shade protectors that I just developed and made for just this purpose. Another shading option I'm using are these curtains here, and this is the same material that the small little shade things were made of. And I've got these shade cloth clips that I pushed through in 5 locations along here. This is 88 inches long, and I've got 5 in here, so 1 on each end, 1 in the middle, and then 1 in between the 1 in the middle and the 1 in the end. And then I just affix them to the trellis here with tomato clips. Now what's so good about this, besides shading, as you can see here, the sun, I'll try to get it in the camera here, is over there. It's up still quite a bit, but the shade is already way out here, and probably about 1 to 1:30 or so, it's covered up these small plants here, and it helps prevent the wilting early to mid-afternoon and late afternoon. And but anyway, the thing that's so good about that is that these not only provide shade to those small plants, it also does a little bit to the afternoon sun here on the raised bed. Not that these get too hot. I don't know if they will or not, actually, but I suspect that they won't. But anyway, but what you can do is you can undo these tomato clips here, and you can raise it up higher, and it will cast a longer shadow, and so that it will cast it over these beds here that don't have a trellis or a curtain here. So essentially what's happening is you're just raising it higher like so. They'll get some afternoon sun, but they'll be casting longer shadows, so it's a different type of shade. And then additionally, if I wanted to later, I could take these and add a trellising from the top of this trellis to the top of the other trellis, which will be a cattle panel. I am actually going to do that. But I can take and put these on top of that and secure it for a more direct during the middle of the day type of thing. So yeah, it's really functional. I like this concept. Now the wind blows these around. It's not secured on the bottom. I don't want it secured on the bottom because it'll make these a sail. I want them to be able to blow like this and then release. Once the wind dies down, it just comes back and provides the shade. Yeah, so no sails, no undue force on the trellises here. But at the same time, if there is some wind going through this area, hitting that sail, that curtain rather, and this curtain, and then the other curtain over there, that kind of slows it down a little bit. So it does a little bit of a wind block too. But like I'm sure I've mentioned a few times in the video, here in central Arkansas, it gets really, really hot in July and August, even June. So anything I can do to alleviate that sun and help the plants flourish is a good thing. Plus it's super easy to remove. It takes all of about 10 seconds to remove a panel. Just undo the clips, and then I can store it for the winter or store it for a little while or whatever I want. So this is Brent. That's the video on the various shades. The little shade for the plants, like well, you can see them over here still, and then the curtain shades for a longer bed area of shade. We'll see you in the next video.
How long do we gotta stay here for people we don't know and want lives? All of the clothes are designer, fast cars, and who knows who. Yeah, I know what they wanna say. They're gonna ask me if I'm gonna make it. I don't care if I'm gonna have to fake it, long as I can be real.